Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany, this is the Brittany React Show, and on this show we talk all things entertainment news and movie news. Today we actually have a really good stream. Just like right as I was pulling all of my news stories together for this stream today, we got probably the biggest, or at least one of the biggest news of the year dropped, at least something that we've been anticipating on my show, which is we finally got a verdict on what's going on with Jonathan Majors. So he was found guilty. We are going to talk about it more in detail later on in the stream, but we have some other things to discuss as well, like the fact that Netflix really wants to make a cinematic universe out of Wensday. Plus, they've already greenlit a bunch of other spin-offs that no one asked for, so it seems like Netflix is also doubling down on the endless sequel trend that I'm not very happy about. Plus, we have some other box office stuff to go over, like we're going to talk about how Wonka's doing. We are going to look ahead to see how Aquaman's going to do. It's not looking good in, Jason Momoa's own words. It's not looking good. But how are you guys doing today? Hi, Sponge Pencil. Hi, Phoenix Hunter. Hi, Miss Olsen. Hi, the Blue Gecko Nerd. Hi, Potato Girl. Hi, IKEA. Hi, Variety Vlogs. Hi, Lysandra. Hi, Josh. Hi, Scorpio Shadow. Hi, Metronoma. And thank you to each and every one of you who comes to my show every day. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. So, I do want to let you guys know sort of the the planned schedule that I have for live streams going on for the rest of the year, because today's live stream will actually be the last news-based live stream. I have a bunch of other planned live streams coming out that I'm going to explain. So on Wednesday, you guys are actually going to get my top 10 movies of the year list, so look forward to that stream. On Friday, you're going to get my Aquaman review, so look forward to that stream. That's going to be a hot mess, but we'll see. I'm keeping an open mind. And then, of course, next Monday is Christmas. We are not having a stream next Monday, so just letting y'all know. We do not have a stream next week until next Wednesday on the 27th, which I will give you my top 10 least favorite movies of the year. So look forward to that. It'll basically just be a roast session. You guys know you like my roast videos, so make sure you're there for next Wednesday. And then on the 29th, I have a special live stream just for you guys. This is a special live stream for you that I only am doing for you and the people who watch this show specifically live every day. And that's going to be the whole stream. I'm going to give you a whole stream where we're just going to sit and chat about holes. It's just for you guys, since we've basically made it an inside joke on this channel, on this show. So if you guys want to really talk about holes, you get it on the 29th. I promised you for Christmas I'd give you a whole stream. So that's what we're going to do on the Friday, the 29th. So look forward to that. But Merry Christmas to all who celebrate. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. I think that's all the holidays this time of year. I am looking forward to Christmas. I've got my tree. I'm very much looking forward to it. Oh, Josh, you excited to see my best and worst list? Oh, great. You guys looking forward to the whole show? Yeah, I'm looking forward to the whole show. I'm going to have to rewatch this movie for the first time in probably 10 plus years. It's been a minute. Yeah, I know, you guys really did it. Yep. You forced me to rewatch this movie and talk about it. Anyway, so let's just get straight to the news now that I've updated you guys on what we're going to talk about for the rest of the year. So, the box office. We're going to talk about Wonka first. It's doing alright. It's doing, I think, better than what a lot of people thought it would do. It's doing really great for a musical. Musicals have been kind of flopping recently, which is really sad for me, because you guys know I love musicals. Probably, I would say musicals are second to sci-fi films for being my favorite genre. So I want more musicals. I'm more excited for Joker Part 2 just because it is a musical. That's the kind of person that I am. So I'm happy to see just a musical do well, even though, if you guys saw my review, I was just kind of medium warm on it. I thought it was just okay. I am gonna edit down a more condensed version of that video. It will go up tomorrow. Hopefully there will not be another situation like last week where I work in a whole video and then it just goes poof. But yeah, that video will go up tomorrow. But anyway, it's doing all right. I still don't. The fact that this is the number one movie of the week, though, and it's like only 39 million, still is not great overall for the industry. Like the box office is still super, super low, but it's okay. I think, Timothee Chalamet at least can feel happy about it. Star Film Studios says, I might watch Wonka. Okay, okay. I know, I'm very much looking forward to Wicked, Natanya. Josh Loves Movie says, Wonka is doing great worldwide, but I'm happy musicals are making a major comeback, which is great for Wicked. I know. I really think Wicked has a chance at a huge blow up, but we'll see. Oh, David E. Honestly, from this channel, I'd rather see your top 10 best than worst. Well, I'm doing the both. You'll see my top 10 best and top 10 worst. I don't see why I can't do both. Scorpio Shadow says, I kind of like musical in theater shows. Oh, you only like to see musicals when it's a Broadway show, not like when it's in a movie? I honestly think the reason why musicals don't tend to do well is that Hollywood doesn't do them very well. Sometimes they do them great. Sometimes they do them really, really well. And then most of the times the music itself is just kind of okay. And for a musical to really hit, the music needs to be great. And that's why I was just kind of mediocre on Wonka, because the music was just okay. Worldwide, 150 million. So again, that's really great for this kind of movie. I think it's really more of just the IP of Willy Wonka selling this movie. I think Willy Wonka is still like a well-known brand, so good for Warner Brothers, I guess. It does have a 125 million budget, so it's likely going to make a profit. So this is a win here overall. Jules thinks it's just meh. Me too. Miss Olsen says Wonka looked fun. It is fun in a very shallow sense. Potato Girl says Wonka had a nice amount or morbid darkness. I don't think it really had that much darkness. I thought it was very sugary sweet. Scorpio Shadow says, I am going to watch probably Wonka, and I'm going to watch Chicken Run 2 first tonight. I've never seen Chicken Run. I know that's one of those movies I need to have seen. I just haven't seen it yet. But anyway, most people seem to at least think it's okay. Again, I don't think it's a bad movie, so I'm not surprised by the score at all. But the fact that it is an A-, I think, says that people aren't like, most people aren't overly enthusiastic about it. They're all just like, oh, it's good, it's fun, which is kind of how I feel about it. But anyway, another movie that I didn't care for that much was The Boy and the Heron, which has passed 100 million worldwide, which is really, really good for a Miyazaki film. It's entirely, well, they do have a dubbed version, but I saw the subbed version. I think, honestly, most theaters are running the subbed version. So this is really good for an international film. I'm really happy for Miyazaki. He's saying this won't be his last movie, but it very much could be. It's looking like it's already made 174 million worldwide. So, I mean, I feel for a 95 million budget, this is probably okay. It's going to get a lot of awards. I think Miyazaki and, Studio Ghibli can be very happy with the performance of this movie. So good for them. Jorge Barrios, thank you so much for the super chat. I loved The Greatest Showman. It got me into musicals again. And with the success of Wensday, I'm surprised they didn't do a theatrical Addams Family with Jenna. I don't know. I feel like Netflix doesn't really care about sending things to theaters. I mean, they do, but like they really only send things to theaters just to qualify for awards, really. Like, their whole thing is just streaming first and streaming only. So even if it would make a lot of sense to make like a theatrical movie with Jenna Ortega, I just don't see them doing it because they want people watching Netflix, not going to the theater. For the most part, anyway. But thank you for the super chat. But anyway, moving on. Now, speaking of Aquaman, because again, I am reviewing it this Friday, so make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not to see that review. But the projections for this movie are not looking good at all. It's looking like it could open between 32 to 42 million, which would be like around what the Marvels opened to, so that's not good. The superhero genre is really, really struggling right now. This is not what you would want, especially since the first Aquaman movie made $1 billion. This is a dramatic fall off here, and I just don't feel like any real anticipation or hype for this movie. I feel like even DC fans don't care. I mean, poor Jason Momoa. he's tried to promote this movie, and he's like, you know what? It's not looking good. Like, why in the world is he on his own press store being like, you know what? I don't think you're gonna see me again as this character. It's not looking good. I mean, it's not. He's being very real and honest about it, which I appreciate. But I think it's really funny that he's saying this because it's not looking good. And honestly, I think this is the DCEU's last movie that they're ever putting out before James Gunn switches things around, even though we're going to talk about James Gunn's DC in a minute, because I still don't understand what the heck he's doing there, but this is the last, like, clear-cut DCEU movie, and I really think the DCEU is going to go out on a whimper. A very, very sad, sad whimper. Thank you, RuPaul's Drag Race superfan. I appreciate the super chat. Jules Elizabeth says, Aquaman is my favorite DC hero, and I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I'm hoping you enjoy the movie. Don't let the box office projections or whatever keep you from liking a movie, if it would at all. Sponge Pencil says, little question, Brittany, what movie are you excited for in 2024? I'm going to have another stream talking about what I'm looking forward to next year. That'll be probably first week of January. Jules Elizabeth says, already bought my tickets for Friday. Oh, yep, look forward to it. Miss Olsen says, DC needs a 10-year break. I think if Superman Legacy completely flops and it's not well received, then yeah, DC needs a 10-year break. A hard break. No shows either. Like, just no DC content at all. Oh, Josh, it's Momover for Aquaman. Oh, it is Momover. I like that. I haven't heard of that before. It's Momover. I might steal that. Thank you, Josh. RuPaul's Drag Race superfan. Thank you for the super chat. I will boycott Marvel if they stand with an abuser. Oh, we're going to talk about Jonathan Majors. Let's, I guess, move on from the box office stuff because we have a lot to talk about. But yeah, I highly doubt they're going to keep him after what we're going to talk about in a minute. So moving on, though, to entertainment news. Now, I wanted to talk about Wensday first, and really Netflix, because it sounds like Netflix is desperate to keep up, like, major hits, because they know they only have one season of Stranger Things left, and the rate that they're putting out, like, major hit shows that everyone's watching, like, to the level of Stranger Things and Wensday and Squid Game and all that, for the amount of shows that they actually put out and make, like, their success rate for, like, major phenomenon is much better for, like, compared to any other studio, but, like, compared to how many shows they put out, they actually don't have a lot of, like, consistently major hits. Like, when you think about it, like, they drop something almost every weekend, right? But most of the shows that come out actually don't really get talked about. No one really even knows about it because they just drop so much stuff. So it seems like how Netflix wants to keep, like, successfully generating these major hits is to just make more spin-offs of hits that they've already made. So basically they're turning into Disney, where they now just want to spin off everything and make multiple sequels and turn everything into a cinematic universe. And I think that is gonna backfire, but let's talk about it. So the first thing, or one of the first things that they announced was that they want to do, or they're considering, a Wensday spin-off focusing on Uncle Fester. It's just being discussed, nothing is confirmed, but they are apparently very eager to establish an Addams Family cinematic universe. Let me repeat, an Addams Family cinematic universe. That's how ridiculous we're getting. Everything's becoming a cinematic universe now. You get a cinematic universe. You get a cinematic universe. I feel like Netflix is definitely Oprah now, where they're just like, if you're even just mildly successful, we're gonna spin off you to death. And I think this is like, I'm sorry, no offense to the actor who plays Uncle Fester, but who wants this? Who watched Wensday and said, yes, Uncle Fester, I want to know even more about him. I want an entire separate series about just this guy. Like, if you're gonna do a spin-off of Wensday, okay. But don't you think there's a lot of other characters that probably would be more interesting? So I don't understand this. Again, firstly, you're gonna try to make a cinematic universe off of Wensday. And then second, the first thing you do is make an Uncle Fester show? Please someone make this make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, I agree with you, Potato Girl. I haven't even seen all of Wensday. I've seen some of it. I've seen like a couple episodes, but I actually haven't even finished the show because I thought it wasn't a bad show. It's not a bad show. Not about to hate on the show. It's just I felt like it was too young for me. Like I felt like it was very much aimed towards teenagers. And I couldn't get into it, but like I can understand why teens are really, really into it. Angel Burr, thank you so much for the super chat. They didn't call it Thursday. Oh god. These jokes, you guys, the Momover, the Thursday, these jokes. I love these dad jokes you guys give me. Just keep sending them. Thank you, Angel Barrera. Not Uncle Fester, right, Daddy? Right? Miss Olsen says this is Disney's effect. I really think it is. I truly think this is all Disney's fault. They're the model everyone's still trying to replicate, or at least what they were trying to do in the 2010s. That's why we're still getting cinematic universes. Is anyone interested in this? Is anyone like, no, Brittany, you're wrong. I do want the Uncle Fester show. Does anyone care? Edgemon says the show is okay/good, but the fan base is so bad that I'm not that interested anymore. Well, Jenna Ortega got a really big, really rabid fan base out of that show, so, I mean, the fan base is there. I understand why teens love it. If this show came out when I was in high school, I probably would have been obsessed with it. Like, it would have checked all of my boxes, because I was that kid. But, I don't know, I just felt like I've moved on past that mindset, so I was watching and I was like, this seems like something I would have been into like 10 years ago. Simi Charm says, no, the show/universe is too young for me as well. Yeah, okay. Alright, so it seems like a lot of you end up agreeing with me. I love that we've cultivated this community of like-minded people. This is great. But apparently this isn't the only spin-off that Netflix is considering. They're also doing two Pinky Blinders spin-offs? Why? I mean, I get they're trying to capitalize off of Cillian Murphy's hype right now because of Oppenheimer, but I feel like I don't even know that much about the show. I haven't seen it. I just know of it because I've had friends that are very much obsessed with it. I've seen all the memes. I know just generally of it. To me, it doesn't seem like the kind of show that warrants a cinematic universe. Like, it kind of goes in the face of everything this kind of show is. So 2 spin-off series just seems like a bit much. Especially if Cillian Murphy isn't even involved, then like, what's the point, right? Like, every person who is obsessed with the show I've talked to is like, Cillian Murphy, oh my god, Cillian Murphy. So, I don't know. I don't actually watch this show, so maybe if you're a Peaky Blinders fan, am I wrong? Do you think this is the kind of show that can be turned into a cinematic universe? I just don't see it. I don't know. Oh, thank you, Martin Schmidt. You've been a member for a month. Thank you so much. Just cash grab, basically. How much money all these CEO people need. I'm happy people started putting their foot down and not spending money for this crap. Yeah, I do think 2023 has been the year of people finally waking up to cynical cash grabs and not wanting to support and participate in them anymore. I am very curious to see if that trend continues into 2024 and beyond. I think it will, but I'm very curious to see if this was just a 2023 freaky, weird year thing, because 2023 has been a weird year. Or if this is like the start of more to come, which I honestly think it is, but I'll be interested to see if this trend continues in 2024. We will get to Jonathan Majors, okay? Tannis says Netflix saw the opportunity to ruin Peaky Blinders and said, let us help. Oh, God. Yeah, Pretty Princess agrees. You're basically there for Cillian. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a big hit for them. Also, they're doing another spin-off for Extraction, which I know that was a big hit for them too, but again, does everything need a cinematic universe? I mean, look at all these TV shows that they're doing spin-offs for. I just think that this is, if we're also going to be, if Netflix is also going to be just doing constant spin-offs and remakes and sequels, then really the entire industry is cooked. Because if this is all we have to look forward to is more of the same, I'm a little tired. I'm just a little tired. Not gonna lie. At one point, Stranger Things became the biggest thing on the planet because it was something new. You're not gonna find another big thing on the planet by just recycling old stuff. So I don't know. I'm a little annoyed by this. Anyone else? Just me? Stranger Things doesn't need spin-offs. Yeah, Natania's also not happy with this. Okay. Okay, Edgeman wants an Arcane spin-off. I just want season 2. Jamie Harbert says the CEOs are learning the hard way. Crap content is crap content, and content isn't everything. Quality is everything. Are they learning things? I feel like the CEOs aren't learning anything. But anyway, I just had to bring this up because I was a little disappointed by some of these news, especially the Uncle Fester one. Like, what? Alright, now we're going to talk about DC, because DC is also making me scratch my head because James Gunn is making some very weird decisions that is only making this whole DC reboot seem more complicated. So what's happening? So James Gunn recently said on Threads, I believe, that Matt Reeves' Arkham Asylum series that was going to go on Max is now set to be part of the DCEU, meaning James Gunn's universe, not the Batman Matt Reeves universe with Robert Pattinson. If you guys didn't know, they were supposed to be two separate universes, and I think there still are. You have the Batverse with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves, and then you were going to have James Gunn go on and do his own separate DCU reboot with his own Batman. Remember, he even greenlit his own Batman movie, so there was going to be two Batman, and I think there still are. But for some reason, Matt Reeves is now also making a show just for the DC universe, not completely separate from the Batman universe. So this is just too confusing. The general public is not going to understand how these two universes are completely different, or even separate from the old DCEU, if you've got the same guy making stuff for two different universes. I think this is overly complicated and makes things really confusing for the average person. Do you guys agree with me? Do you think this is really dumb? I think, why are you getting the guy, if you really want to have two separate Batman universes or whatever, I always thought that was dumb to begin with, but if you're gonna go with that, why have that same guy that's working on your Batman universe to make stuff for DCU as well? I mean, so what's the difference now? If you're going to have him make this Arkham Asylum series, which would, I'm assuming, focus on the villains of Batman, does that mean that the villains he works on in that Batman series, he now can't use in his own Robert Pattinson Batman movies? Because those characters are going to be part of James Gunn's universe, even though Matt Reeves is the one that's directing them? This is what I'm talking about when I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. Does not make sense. I don't know why, Danny. Why do we need two Batmans? Astronomy says, does this mean the Penguin is in the DCU now? No, apparently the Penguin is still part of the separate Matt Reeves Batman universe. That is not part of the DCU. So we have Matt Reeves, who is making two shows, because you're right, he also has this Penguin show coming out with Colin Farrell. That's still part of Robert Pattinson's Batman universe. But then now he's making a second show? He was already making a second show, but they're now making that part of the different universe? I think none of this makes any sense. And again, does that mean that now Matt Reeves cannot use any of the villains that he works on in this show and the actual Batman movies with Robert Pattinson? Like, how does this make sense to me? He's now taking away characters and things that he could use for Robert Pattinson's movies by doing this, right? Because he can't, like, use a character for this show and then turn around and do the same character again but with a different actor in his movie, right? Because that would be dumb. But this is already dumb, so I don't understand this. Arvin says Matt Reeves is simply planning to make bad projects for the DCU so he can ruin it and make his universe the best. You think he's intentionally going to make this show bad? I don't think so. The only way I can make this make sense is if James Gunn forced him. If he was like, well, if you won't make Robert Pattinson the DCU's Batman, then you at least have to make a show for us. I feel like maybe that was the deal or something. That's the only thing I can think of. Tanis Larson says, hearing Brittany desperately trying to explain and make sense of this is hilarious, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Shay Luna Midnight says, I agree, at the moment I'm not understanding James Gunn vision, but it's too early to predict anything yet. I really appreciate your optimism, Shay. I really do. Josh Loves Movie says, I think this Arkham series, our Arkham Asylum series is setting up Batman the Brave and the Bold movie, as there's going to be so many Batman villains, like there's many villains in Superman Legacy, which is just way too many. But why would Matt Reeves be making a whole show to set up for another Batman movie that he's not even working on? Unless they've quietly canceled Robert Pattinson's Batman sequel, and they're not actually making that anymore, and this is their kind of quiet way of announcing this. I still don't understand it. Miss Olsen, you keep upping it. Now you think DC needs a 40-year break. Okay. Caledonia says, deep down, Gunn knows his little spite jump to DC is not going to work. I mean, I don't know. I think he's probably already regretting it. I think, at least if he's not regretting, he should, because I just don't know if he's the right guy for this, to be honest. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to Jonathan Majors? Because I know y'all really want to talk about that. Yeah, okay. Does anyone actually agree with this? You guys can be really excited for the show. The show itself might be good. I just think it's really weird that they'd be having the guy that's supposed to be doing an entirely different DC universe make a show for your other universe that set up a different Batman movie when he's making his own. It just doesn't make any sense. Alright, anyway. Moving on to the Jonathan Majors discussion. So, yes, Jonathan Majors has been found guilty of assault in the 3rd degree and guilty of harassment. So we have been anticipating this verdict for a long, long time. I think this all started about 10 months ago. This was way back earlier in the year when there were allegations that he had of domestic assault against his girlfriend. And since then, there has been sort of an information war in the press where it's kind of gone back and forth ever since, where we've gotten leaked texts from even Jonathan Majors' own legal team that kind of paints him in a bad light, to hearing things about, his girlfriend's trying to flee the country, that we had that recent video where it seems like he was running away from his girlfriend. So the whole situation has gone back and forth. That's why I really haven't covered it much, because I honestly had no idea what the result of this verdict was going to be. Things just kept going back and forth so wildly. I was just like, let's just see what they actually say in the end. And now we finally have our verdict. He is guilty of 2 of the 4 charges that were pressed against him. And not just that, but he is also, potentially, he faces up to 1 year in prison or probation. Now, he won't be sentenced until February, but obviously this is such a huge deal that not only is he now, guilty of these awful charges, but he could go to prison for an entire year. So that's where we are. I am going to go back and kind of go through the whole timeline of how we got here, but I just wanted to give you the facts up straight about what's going on with Jonathan Majors right now before we kind of go back and dig deeper. What do you guys think about Jonathan Majors now? What do you guys think about the verdict? What are your thoughts? Anna Bear says, I can't believe people were really supporting this man through this. I'm sure his girlfriend wasn't perfect, but you can literally see him hit her head on the car when he's putting her in the car. Yes, we're not gonna show the whole video, but I am gonna go over that briefly. I think, even from the very beginning, honestly, his legal team, his lawyer, no one should hire his lawyer ever. That lawyer made him look so guilty from the beginning. Because, since we're talking about it, let's go into it. Because one of the first things we got were these leaked text messages from TMZ. Not leaked, but they were allegedly from his own legal team, which is why I was like, why is his own legal team sharing this stuff? But these text messages made it very clear that he did actually hurt her, and that he was like trying to make her like, he was basically kind of gaslighting her about it. I mean, anyone who knows how to read the lines between, like, you know, domestic victim talk, essentially. These text messages here made him look very, very guilty. And these were just the first bit of evidence that came out against him, that everyone was like, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't look like it might go his way. But we weren't sure yet, because innocent until proven guilty. But these first text messages did make him look very, very bad. Josh Loves Movie says those text messages as evidence made him look so guilty. This wasn't even the first thing his lawyers did that made him look very guilty. Scorpio Shadow says, why the hell 1 year? He needs more than 1 year. Well, that's the sentence they gave him. Potato Girl says, sorry, I was sticking to this subject. But anyway, this wasn't the only thing that came out about him either. Apparently there were lots of directors that were coming out on Twitter, people who knew him in person, that were like, no, Jonathan Majors is a terrible person. This guy says, I'm just going to say this about Jonathan Majors and be done with it. Folks at Yale, which is the school that he went to, and the broader NYC community have known about him for years. He's a sociopath and an abuser, and that is how virtually everyone speaks about him. It's a shame it took this long for him to be reported. And this was back in March of this year. So this was like well before we have all the other evidence that we've gotten against him since. So it's not looking good when you have allegations made about you, and then suddenly you have a bunch of people who know you in real life come out of the woodwork and be like, yeah, F that guy. Because essentially that's what happened to Jonathan Majors. So it made him seem like, oh, maybe he's not actually a good guy. Yeah, apparently he was just toxic to be around all around. This wasn't the only person who had something to say about him. There was another filmmaker who said that he had heard a lot of testimonies from apparently other people he allegedly abused or mistreated. Again, these are not confirmed or anything, so these are just alleged allegations. But again, not a good thing to have a bunch of people come out and say, like, yeah, he did this to me, or I've heard this about him. He just didn't seem like Jonathan Majors was apparently a good guy at all. And then we have this video, because at this point, this was in September, there was lots of negative headlines about him in the press. Things did not look like they were going his way at all. So I'm gonna still say this might be real, because we don't know. It's all speculation. But this video looks hella faked. TMZ, so that's how you know it's totally real, obtained videos of Jonathan Majors breaking up a high school fight between two girls. And this is where we have Jonathan Majors. Seems like he comes out of nowhere and his little paperboy outfit to break up this high school fight. And he's like, guys, keep the peace. And literally everyone on the internet was like, no one believes this was real at all. Like, why was he just in the neighborhood happening to see this high school fight that he can break up out of a sudden? And he had so many people there. Guys, remember the laptop? Yeah, this laptop here. Like, why were there people with laptops and phones just casually strolling? Like, oh yeah, we just were casually carrying this here, and we just happened to see this fight, and he just happened to be here to break it up. Like, yeah, allegedly it could be real, but you know, it's totally not. I think there were, I don't have a slide to show you for this, but there was an article that came out that proved, or at least tried to prove, that both Jonathan Majors and his legal team tried to, like, throw out falsehoods in the media to try to clear his name. And I would not be surprised if this was one of those things. Yes, it does look very, very fake. Yes, Josh agrees it's horribly staged. Yeah, Primal, he is that type of person. He is exactly that type of person. Prototype says, what's even the deal with that video? How did TMZ get it? Directly from the source? Exactly! How did TMZ get this? Are we just supposed to believe that some high school student sent this video to TMZ? like the story gets more and more ridiculous. Especially since they tried to explain it by saying that he was at a burger joint across the street. He was eating his food or something, and he was like, he happened to see this fight break out, and he ran across the street to help. That was his actual story, not making that up. And it's like, come on, dude. Really? Really? Oh, Edgemont says now he will stop jail fights. Yes, he'll stop fake jail fights too, I guess. Oh, Will Bowden, thank you so much for the super chat. What a sad downfall, and all his fault. I know, right? At the very, very beginning of the year, it actually started out to be a good year for him. He had Quantumania, which, even though Quantumania didn't do well and had terrible reviews, the reviews of his performance were really good. And then he had Creed, which a lot of people really liked him in. He was getting Oscar buzz for his film coming out later in the year. It was some boxing movie. Everything, I would say, in the first 2 months of the year was looking, or first 3 months of the year was looking very, very good for him. And then it all went downhill when he decided, because he was the one that called 911, by the way. Apparently, do I have it here? Do I? Maybe. No, I don't. But apparently, he was actually the one that called 911 because he was thinking that she had an overdose or had tried attempted suicide. So he thought that something not related to the injuries that he put on her. He thought that something else had happened to her, and that's why he called 911, because he was concerned about her health. But then when the police was there, and really all his fault. Literally, unfortunately, it sounds like his ex. So literally all of this, from him picking up the phone and calling 911 to even his own lawyer setting him up and leaking all of this really damning text messages about him, a lot of the stuff that's going his way he brought to himself. To be straight, completely clear, a lot of this is all entirely his fault. Yeah, it is Jover. Hidden Name says hero, right, but Home still supporting him, unfortunately. Yeah, he'll still have supporters. There's always going to be people who support abusers, unfortunately, which is a really sad thing. Tana says, wonder what percent of Twitter will still defend him. I bet 78%. Who's still There are some people defending him, but I think it's a very small portion. I've seen people who were defending him are even like, oh yeah, I was wrong. So I don't know. I think he's losing a lot of supporters. Arvin says, Victor Timely turned into noodles and Jonathan Majors couldn't save him. What kind of hero is he? Just childish street fights. Yeah, I mean, as you guys know, I was never a huge fan of Kang. I thought he was okay in the first season of Loki, but every appearance I've seen him in since then, I was less and less impressed. I did not like his performance as Victor Timely at all. So I honestly, as far as what they do with Kang going forward, I wish they would just get rid of Kang entirely. But I don't see that happening, unfortunately, because according to RPK, who is a really good scooper, Marvel is very committed to Kang's character, and instead of just moving on to a different villain, they just want to recast Kang. And I think that is dumb. For multiple reasons. One, I don't think Kang has really worked out. I think for the most part, some fans liked him, but he's been in multiple projects at this point, and I don't really sense that anyone outside of the core geeky fan base gives an F about Kang. He couldn't give big viewership ratings to Loki Season 2, the promise of seeing Kang in that show didn't help that show, didn't help Quantumania either. So, I mean, people liked the High Evolutionary in Guardians 3 a lot more than they liked Kang, and he had a lot less screen time than what Kang has had so far. So I don't understand why they feel so committed to this character that I don't think is really working out anyway. And secondly, if they are going to keep Kang, then that means they're still going to do the Kang Dynasty. And I think that is also a bad decision, because I don't think the Kang Dynasty, I'll be honest with you guys, even though it's an Avengers movie, I really don't see the Kang Dynasty even doing half of what Endgame did. I think it'll perform. I'm not even sure, even though it'll be an Avengers movie, unless they throw Spider-Man in there, unless they throw in the absolute big guns, I can see this movie barely making $1 billion. For an Avengers movie, that would be a disappointment. Just because No one cares about Kang. It's gonna be a multiverse story, and people are very multiversed out. It's gonna be full of a lot of B, C, D list characters in the Marvel Universe no one gives a crap about. I think they should just get rid of Kang, get rid of the Kang dynasty, and just like go straight to Secret Wars so we can reboot this whole thing and focus on the X-Men in a separate universe. I've been telling you for months that's what I wish they would do because I love the X-Men, but I'm very, very worried that the MCU is not going to do the X-Men well because for them to incorporate the X-Men into this twisted, effed up, Prime universe that they've got going on right now, that means they kind of have to turn the X-Men into something that they're not. And they have to do a lot of, like, changing of the lore. And with the X-Men, that is, like, something I actually do quite know a lot about when it comes to lore. So I'm just like, no, I want them in this completely separate universe, separate from all this other crap, separate from Kang. I don't want Professor Xavier to even know who Kang is, I just want, like, them in a separate bubble away from this is. I'm trying not to cuss. But anyway, I don't like the idea that they're just gonna recast him. I wish they would just cut Kang altogether. But what do you guys think? The Free Rocket Man says it's sad. He had a great career ahead. I mean, he was really on the rise. Jonathan Majors really effed himself. Namor7 says Marvel's prioritizing a Kang narrative as the least of their concerns. True. But I mean, they did say that they were hinging their entire, like, next couple phases on this guy. Like, he was supposed to be the Thanos of this entire, like, next era. This entire saga. And it's not... I mean, if you have to recast your biggest villain that's supposed to anchor your entire saga because it's the last guy might literally have to go to prison, that's not a good look. I mean, that character is already tainted because of what happened with the previous guy. So this new actor, whoever they get to have to, like, recast him with, is going to have to be so good that they're going to forget that this was ever someone else in the first place. And that's not fair on the new guy that they hire, because they're going to get constantly compared. Yeah, Starry Kitsu Cat agrees with me. Separate the X-Men from this mess. I totally do not want them entangled with all of this crap. Arvin says, until Secret Wars releasing, it will be 2040, so just give me Agatha, whatever. Exactly! If they, by continuing to do Avengers the King Dynasty, that means we're gonna have to wait. It could literally be, like, by 2030 before we get Secret Wars. I don't want to wait that long to reboot this universe. I mean, that's what they're trying to do for Secret Wars, allegedly. But I believe it. So, I don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. If I'd started this channel, even just a few years ago, this would have been, like, I probably would have been so annoying because I would have been called such a Marvel shill because I was so, like, just excited about everything Marvel. And now I'm like, everything that they keep throwing out here is making me, like, less and less excited. And them deciding to keep this character around still, like, they're still committing to it, I'm just like, I don't care. Where's the X-Men, Will Bowden, thank you so much for the super chat. Loki might give them an out on Kang. Just say the TVA prevents another Kang and cancel Kang Dynasty for Secret Wars, like you said. I don't know if I trust them to do it. I don't know if I trust them to do it either. It seems like they are hell-bent on making bad decisions lately, and I don't get it. I really, really don't. I mean, they have no choice but to obviously get rid of him. They haven't announced that they're firing Jonathan Majors yet, at least not while I've been talking. Again, all of this stuff just broke literally right before I started the stream. But so far, Marvel has not fired him yet. But I think they obviously have to, especially if the guy literally goes to prison. Like, he won't even be there to film anything, so they'll have to recast. So I honestly expect some kind of announcement probably within the next 24 hours. There's no way. There's absolutely no way they're keeping him around after this. Like, it's already past judgment in my mind that he's definitely going to be fired. I don't even think that's a question. Free Rocket Man says, to be honest, can't wait for Marvel to reboot. They really need to reboot. I don't know why it seems like they're delaying this reboot. Like, I didn't talk about it last week because I thought it was such, like, small news and apparently no one cared. But, like, they made a bunch of announcements about what they wanted to do with Marvel Animation last week. Like, they announced something about the Spider-Man show and a Wakanda series. And I was just like, why are we doing this? Like, you can't even get people to care about your main shows, your main movies. Why are we doing now, like, spin-off animated shows? Like, I just don't get it. Like, you're just burning money. Who was watching this stuff? Who cares? Just a Hologram says, I'm hoping they use Deadpool 3 to set up Avengers vs. X-Men to lead into Secret Wars. Well, it sounds like that's what they're doing. From everything that I've been seeing and hearing about Deadpool, they're basically using that movie to set up Secret Wars. Now, I have my concerns about that because I feel like they might be throwing too much into Deadpool. I trust Ryan Reynolds to maybe sort it out, but I don't trust Marvel not to do too much studio meddling and forcing him to throw in a bunch of characters that shouldn't be in there. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm also worried about Spider-Man 4 because it sounds like they're setting that up apparently to be the next Civil War for them, and they're going to add a bunch of characters to the Spider-Man 4 as well, like the Marvel Civil War. So I don't know. It sounds like because they know people are actually looking forward to Deadpool and Spider-Man 4, they're using those two movies to do a lot of brand repairing and, like, setting up for future stuff. But I think that's going to hurt both of those movies because I think the last thing fans want right now is a bunch of cameos and Easter eggs and setting up for future movies that won't come for, like, another 5 years. And I feel like that's exactly what both Deadpool and Spider-Man 3 or 4 are gearing up to be. And I'm very, very worried about those movies from a quality standpoint. I know, I really want Deadpool 3 to be great. I really, really do. But every behind-the-scenes picture I see from it makes me more and more nervous. Prototype says, we care if they make us care. I'm so intimidated by the amount of content Marvel is going to put out there that I don't want to even touch it. They need to flush a lot of stuff. True. The fact that I've gotten to a point where I'm, like, so apathetic on a lot of Marvel stuff is not good. Because I used to be such a massive mega fan where I was like, literally, when WandaVision was dropping, I was there every midnight, at the table. Because I was like, I gotta watch this. Now I'm just like, oh, we've got another, like, animated show coming. They announced that they're considering doing, like, a Elsa Bloodstone show, and even though I really liked the Werewolf by Night series, or the special, I was still like, why are we doing an Elsa Bloodstone special when, like, we don't know what the heck our main Avengers cast even is? Like, why are we focusing on, like, the absolute D-list characters here when fans are literally just asking for X-Men? Why are we pushing off this reboot by filling it with filler like an Elsa Bloodstone show when, like, that no one's gonna watch that, you know? Why are we doing that? Will Bowden, thank you again for the super chat. No, Spider-Man should just be Spider-Man. The only hero they could introduce and have it work is Miles because he's still a Spider-Man character. You are preaching to the choir, Will. You're preaching to the choir. If I were a Sony executive, I would make Spider-Man 4 kind of like Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, where it's just about watching an older Peter Parker try to live in the city, get by. He lives in a crappy apartment. He's, is working with a terrible boss. He could be very relatable 20-something, and then he happens to beat Miles Morales, and they go on some adventure together. Like, if that's literally as simple as I would want Spider-Man 4 to be. Maybe you can have, like, Daredevil in there, have, like, Charlie Cox be his lawyer or something, I don't know. But I don't want, like, a ton of extra villains, a ton of extra characters. I do not want Spider-Man 4 to be, the Marvel's next Civil War movie, which is apparently what the rumors are saying it's going to be. I don't want that. I just want a Spider-Man movie with Miles Morales. And I think that's what everyone wants. Basically, take the Spider-Man 2 video game that just came out and make a movie like that. That's literally all you'd have to do. I don't know why they want to turn this into like a mini Avengers film. I mean, I do know why. Technically, they want to do this because they're like, oh, everyone's going to see our Spider-Man movie and we really need to fix a lot of things. So let's fix all these things in the movie people we know are actually going to watch. And I feel like that's so unfair to Spider-Man. And to be honest, I'm wondering how long Sony's going to want Spider-Man to still be in the MCU. Because Sony completely owns Spider-Man. Once that contract is up between them, they could say, you know what? We don't want Tom Holland messing around in the MCU anymore. The MCU is kind of a mess. So I'm just going to take him out and we're just going to, like, play with him over here. Like, they could totally say that at some point. I'm wondering, when are they going to put their foot down and do that? Although, I don't want that to mean they're going to have him face off against, like, Kraven the Hunter or something. Like, I swear if they have Madam Web show up in, like, Spider-Man 5, I will be completely wrong and I will eat my words. But if they just have him, like, be like a solo, separate, you know, Spider-Man series where it's just about Spider-Man, I'd be very happy with that. Well, what do you guys think? Josh Loves Movie says Marvel needs to do Secret Wars right, as Secret Invasion was such a disaster. I know. I mean, do we really trust them? Do we really trust their judgment at all, like, for anything at this point? It's getting bad. It's getting bad. Dr. Shonda says it's too soon for a Civil War type movie. What two characters are left that we can invest in, like Captain America and Iron Man? I don't know. I guess it would be... I mean, for Deadpool, we have Deadpool and Wolverine, so you could technically make a Civil War movie with that, but I don't know, with who else other than Spider-Man could you even do a Civil War with? Like, I don't know. There really aren't a lot of other major, huge characters that are, like, as popular as Captain America or Iron Man right now. It's kind of just Spider-Man and, like, Deadpool and Wolverine and maybe Wanda. Like, I don't even think Doctor Strange is on that level anymore. So I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, Anna Bear, you're also so over it. Yeah, seems like most people are. Ethan Ches says, I don't want to have to Google characters the whole movie. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, like, casual movie audiences. It's getting so niche and so, like, out there, and they're putting too many cooks in the kitchen, too many characters. It's going to be confusing to them. Very, very confusing. But anyway. Oh, he's officially fired. Did they just announce this? Free Rocket Man says that they just announced that he's officially fired. Hold on. Looking it up. Oh yes, they did. Thank you for telling me. Oh, great. I could talk about it on this live stream. I was hoping they would announce it while I was live. They did. Thank you, Free Rocket Man. Okay, so it looks like breaking. Marvel Studios has parted ways with Jonathan Majors, the actor cast to play Kang, the central antagonist in the multiverse saga of the MCU, after he was convicted of 2 misdemeanor counts of harassment and assault. So yeah, like I said, I knew there was no possible way that they were going to keep him around now that he was actually convicted. Like, I knew, or not convicted yet, but found guilty. Like, I knew there was no possible way. So I'm not surprised. I'm glad that they announced it so quickly, so we're not, like, left wondering for days. Like, I'm glad that they just announced it just a few hours later. I also think, you know, even though I think it looked bad for Jonathan Majors from the very beginning, from those very, like, texts that came out through TMZ, I am still very happy that Marvel waited until they actually got a jury to decide, and they didn't just go with the court of public opinion, even though the stuff that we were getting from him did look very, very bad. Because I do think that it's important that we don't have the court of public opinion have the say on everything. We do have we have laws for a reason, we have courts for a reason. Court should decide if he's guilty, not the public. So I do have to give my hats off to Marvel for holding restraint even when it looked really bad. Even when he literally got dropped by his agent and management, they still didn't fire him yet. So I gotta give props to Marvel for at least waiting until the courts decided and not the people. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they fired him. And I'm just very happy that they decided to announce it right away. Will Bowden, thank you so much for the super chat. At this point, I might be more excited for Gunn's DCU, and I'm a DC hater / Marvel fanboy. Kevin, how did you get to this point? I think it's just because you're tired of the MCU, and at least it looks like James is attempting to do something new with DC. Who knows if he's actually going to do something new, but at least it's the promise of something new that probably has you excited. But I'm actually with you. I'm very curious to see how Superman Legacy turns out. Okay, Real David Jones wants them to just ditch the multiverse. I have to agree. Honestly, I have to agree. I think the multiverse is played out. I think if potentially Deadpool 3 slightly underperforms because people are multiversed out, they have to pivot away from it at least some point. So I think people are really tired of it. Gray for Harmony says, he only has to blame himself, truly. The only person Jonathan Majors has to be upset about this situation is himself. Literally the entire time from the very beginning, he has been the one that has been the catalyst for so many things. From being the one that picked up 911 to call the police because he didn't think that he would ever face consequences for anything, apparently. He was that cocky about it. To the fact that he had a terrible lawyer that was honestly, it seemed like they were trying to make him look bad at certain points. I don't know what the heck they were doing. Everything that has gone wrong for him this year has been his fault. So you can only feel so bad for him if you feel bad for him at all, which I personally don't. Professor Strangefinger says, ditch the whole Kang story, I hope. There's so many more exciting supervillains. I agree. I don't know why they're so fixated on Kang in the first place. Bye, Free Rocket Man. Thank you for letting me know. My Getaway says, I'm just excited we're finally getting some Green Lantern content after that drought. We'll see though. I don't know if they're actually gonna get away with doing a Green Lantern show. It all depends on if the Superman Legacy movie is actually a hit. Will Bowden says, yeah, just do an in-universe reboot with Secret Wars and pretend like the whole multiverse saga never happened. That's what they should be doing. I don't know why they're not putting out Secret Wars in 2025 or 2026 at the latest and rebooting the whole thing from there. That's really what I think they should be doing. But anyway, I'm glad that we at least have a verdict and Kang is gone. He's out. Well, we don't know if Kang's gone, sorry. Jonathan Majors is gone. Jonathan Majors is out. We don't know if Kang is done as a character yet or if they're going to recast him. Sounds like they might just recast, which I think is dumb. But we'll see. I will update you guys on what they decide to do with Kang. So, subscribe if you're not subscribed because I will be updating you guys on this story as it progresses. Because this is all happening right now, live as we're talking. Anyway, any other thoughts on Jonathan Majors and Kang and the whole situation before we move on to the member question? Josh Loves Movies says Galactus would be a Thanos-level threat. I do know a lot of fans have been mentioning Galactus, also mentioning Doom. I don't really know which villain they should go with, to be honest. I'm not that well versed in all of the villains. I just know that there's gotta be some other ones. The fact that Galactus and Doom are at least more household names. I'm much more aware of those guys than I was of Kang. So I don't know why they were going with such a obscure, not well-known villain in the first place. Ethan says, we're tired of the MCU anyway, fire to heart, ain't nobody watching. Oh god. Deadpool 3 might do well. It might do okay. If any future MCU movie has a chance at doing really well, it is Deadpool 3. If that movie does not make at least $700 million, Marvel needs to reboot right away. They can't wait until Kang. They can't make a freaking Elsa Bloodstone show. They can't make an animated Wakanda spin-off show. Because no one's watching that stuff. Just get to the stuff we care about, Laura B says his portrayal of Kang was so awful. I'm glad he's gone. I thought Victor Timely was embarrassing. The acting in that was... I know some people really liked it, but I was not a fan. Yeah, he who remains in trouble. All right, so moving on to the member question now. Now, I kind of wish I had knew that this was coming before I posted my member question because it's not about Kang. It's actually going back to talking about Netflix and all of the sequels and reboots that they're doing. I don't have WTF news, so just letting you know. I do, again, on Wednesday, we are doing my top 10 favorite movies of all time, so very much looking forward to that. So make sure you're here on Wednesday, and then on Friday, I'm doing a review of Aquaman, so just giving you guys a reminder of my schedule later on today. All right, so getting to my member question, I asked you guys, with Netflix doubling down on IP and sequels like other studios, what are some original movies or shows you would want to see? So, got some great comments here. From the first one is from Ajamin, who says, I would like to see more animated shows like Arcane, which has an amazing story and a beautiful art. But Netflix would probably cancel it because they just love canceling. Imagine a show that takes place in Gag City. Oh my god. Speaking of the Nicki Minaj thing. I would love to see more original shows like Arcane, especially if they had that kind of storytelling and that art style. You guys know I'd be definitely down for that. I mean, Nimona kind of had that to an extent, so that's why I like Nimona a lot. But yeah, I would totally love more original stuff like Arcane. Natanya Mullings says, this is a quick rant. Okay. Netflix cancels shows too quickly if they're not as popular. Stranger Things or Wednesday. I wish they'd give shows with potential a chance. The reason why they don't do that is because, say it takes 3 seasons for a show to finally take off, by the time they're at season 3, to greenlight a season 4, the show's going to cost way more, because then you're going to have to pay people a lot more by that 4th season. So they're thinking if the show isn't a big hit right off the gate, it's not financially worth it to wait until the 3rd or 4th season, because by the time we're on that season, it's already way too expensive, and we can't take the risk on knowing it's going to blow up later to make that worth it. So that's why they're making sure, or they're only greenlighting and keeping around shows that are like massive hits out of the gate. Because honestly, they don't really make money from these shows other than people subscribing to the service to watch them. So if people aren't subscribing to watch something and they're already subscribed and watching it, they're making no money from it. So that's why they don't really care about keeping shows around for a long time. They just care about getting new splashy shows to get new subscribers and to get a lot of like press and media attention. That's really all they're looking for at this point. And that's why they're also getting into video games, because they also want more engagement and watch time. Rock, Paper, Scissors says, I can't believe Riot Games made such a garbage game to promote their TV show. I mean, the League of Legends came out before Arcane. Like, it was already a popular game well before the show. But I do think it's funny that I think the game has a reputation for not it's not taken seriously in the gaming world, if I'm correct. Like, being a League of Legends gamer is seen as like kind of cringy. So it is kind of funny that the show wound up being way more like critically well liked than even the game was. But anyway, Cherry Blossom Fantasy says, I want them to keep going with the following shows: Mindhunter, Blue Eye Samurai, and The Last of Us, which isn't Netflix, but I hope they continue it. Okay, so you want, do you want them also to do, like, more live-action video game adaptations like The Last of Us? Or do you just want more, like, grounded, gritty, I guess, serious shows like that? Is that what you're saying? You guys know if they do, if any series, you know what? If I could have any series make or any streaming show, or streaming service make a show, I would want Max. No, not Max. I would want HBO. I would want HBO to make a live-action Detroit Become Human series. So it would follow the 3 main characters, and it would be like an interweaving story. And I think it would be just as engaging and just as popular as the Last of Us series if they did a Detroit Become Human series. I would love that. I love that game. I love that story. It's so cinematic. I think it's right for a live-action adaptation. So, I wouldn't want Netflix to do it. I mean, maybe Netflix could do an okay job, but I feel like that's the type of story that I would want HBO to tackle, because I think they'd be a lot better at it. Does anyone else want a live-action Detroit Become Human show? I love that game. Okay, Hidden Name likes that idea. Cool, cool. What other games would you guys want to see? Oh yeah, Anna Bear, bring back the Santa Clarita Diet. Oh my gosh. I was so sad when they canceled the Clarita Diet. That show was so good. Anyway, getting back to this, Nicholas Wilson says, great question. My girlfriend and me are big fans of The Witcher, and we love to see the franchise continue with Henry Cavill as the titular character, even though they use a movie to wrap the story up. Unfortunately, the series already strayed from source and away from the central character, prompting Cavill to leave, and I don't see them pulling it back. Yeah, the whole situation with The Witcher is messed up. I mean, the fact that, Cavill left and they're still continuing with it is a bold choice. Do they not realize the majority reason why people even watch that show was because of Henry Cavill? I don't see that show doing well without him at all. I wish they'd just stop Stranger Things. Wait, you want to stop Stranger Things? And let it be remembered as something great instead of letting it get worse and worse? What? I like the last season. I'd like to see a sequel series to Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, but only if they're willing to stick to the practical effects that made the franchise something special. I could go on, but I'm not going to. Didn't they bring back... Am I misremembering? Didn't some streaming service bring back Dark Crystal? I feel like there was something like that recently. But yeah. I actually really like Stranger Things. I thought the last season was really good. There's only one more season to go, so they're not, dragging it out for, another 3 seasons. If they were doing that, I would agree with you. But the fact that there's only one more season of Stranger Things, I think they're ending it at the right time. But thank you for your comment, though. Alexander Padilla says, hey, Brittany, and I would like to see Netflix do more original movies. I get that they want to be like the other studios, but no, do more original movies and more international foreign language films. Every studio shouldn't copy each other. They should be unique in their own way. Exactly. That's why I feel like by Netflix jumping on this sequel and spin-off trend, they're just becoming like every other studio. And I really did think that, at least for a while there, Netflix had a different reputation, they put out different kinds of movies, different kind of product. If they just become another sequel machine, I feel like they'll just become like every other studio, and I think that'd be really bad for the industry. Oh, Potato Girl, you lost interest in Stranger Things after season 3? Oh no, why is everyone agreeing the show needs to end? I really like this show. I mean, I do agree this next season should be its last. But I feel like it's ending at the right time. One more season and that's it. Angel Barrera, thank you so much for the super chat. Live action Tetris win. There actually is a Tetris movie coming out. I know you're saying that as a joke, but wasn't there just recently a Tetris movie that was announced, or one that just came out? Didn't it have Taron Egerton in it? There actually was a Tetris movie that just came out recently, I believe. So Angel, I know that was a joke, but it's already been a thing. But anyway, getting back to this, Chevron Jr. says also, what would be interesting is if Netflix puts back Disney movies and TV shows on their streaming service, like, for example, Holes and Sophia the First. You know what? You really made the Holes thing happen. It's because of you that I'm even going to talk about it on my show. So, you know what? Bravo to you. You made Holes happen. I don't know if Disney will ever, license their stuff back to Netflix. I'm not sure if they're going to do that. Honestly, they probably should for the money, but we'll see. I'm not holding my breath, though. Chevron Jr. says, okay, this is going to sound weird, and crazy, but I was thinking of an original project called Entropy. It's just something that I've been working on since making a fanfic, but if they made a project like that, it'd be awesome. Also, just to note, this is animated. As someone who loves and appreciates animation as a whole, I definitely could see it happening, but only time will tell. Entropy. So would it be kind of like, what Tenet was, where does time run backwards or something? That could be interesting. I thought Tenet's premise was interesting, but the execution was dull. And you could barely understand what people were saying. I like most of Christopher Nolan's movies, but Tenet was not one of my favorites. But I do like the concept of entropy and what he was trying to do with it. It just, I don't know, honestly that movie went over my head. I did not get Tenet at all. But it did feel like a nice, physics lesson on entropy, though. Anyway, moving on. RuPaul's Drag Race Superfan says, I would like to see The Legend of Korra live action after Avatar so they can fix the disaster of the animation show. Also, love you, Brittany, and saw your review of Wonka. You can have your opinion, but I think it was amazing. Also, it is the closest to the books than any of them. Also, I think compared to Johnny Depp's version, it's not all that way right, because that version is borderline not even a Wonka movie. Okay, I think Timothee did an excellent job, and they already are talking about doing a sequel, which might help with some of your criticism of the movie. Also, it is doing pretty good at the box office and will probably make its money. Also, for me, right now, it's my favorite Wonka movie of the three, and that says a lot, as Willie, the original 1971 version, is my favorite for so long. That's all, Brittany, and hope this does not offend you. No, it doesn't offend me. We can all have different opinions. We don't have to agree. I'm so happy that you liked it. I'm glad that it worked for you. Like I said, I am gonna post a more succinct video for anyone who wasn't able to watch the entire live stream last week. So if anyone who doesn't understand why I didn't care for that movie, maybe you'll understand when I post that video tomorrow. I don't think it's a bad movie. I really don't. I don't want you guys to think that I think it's terrible, because I don't. I just think that it was a missed opportunity, and it played it really safe in areas where I think it could have been more interesting. I just felt like it was very vanilla, essentially. And that's why I didn't totally care for it. But that's ultimately how I thought of the movie. The legendary movie critic, thank you so much for being a member, says, I would like to see Netflix do more animated movies and shows and not cancel them, as I was so excited for Bone and Wings of Fire before they got canceled. Sorry. Plus, they canceled a new movie from the Klaus creator, which I was excited for as well. Wait, they did what? Oh, I didn't know that. They canceled the movie from the Klaus creator? Oh, I love Klaus. That sucks. Netflix is trying to save more animated movies after saving Nimona, as they tried to save Coyote vs. Acme. However, Warner Brothers rejected their offer since they are greedy bastards. I know, that's crazy. And wanted more money despite them failing to destroy that movie for a tax write-off. I hope the Avatar The Last Airbender series will be a huge, massive hit on Netflix, just like One Piece and Wensday. You know what, I think the next major massive hit for Netflix could be the Avatar series, just because I think there's now multiple generations of people who are really into it. Millennials like Avatar, Gen Z likes Avatar. So I think that it could be a huge hit, so we'll see. It does suck that they're canceling a lot of animated stuff, though. I had no idea they canceled something from the Klaus director. If you guys haven't seen Klaus, since it's Christmas time, it's the perfect time to watch that movie. Go watch Klaus. It's really good. But thank you for these comments, and thank you everyone who posted something here. Anyway, that is actually the end of the show. I want to thank you all for coming and talking about everything. I'm so happy that we got all this huge, gigantic, pressing news that dropped during the middle of my show. That's fantastic. So I got the chance to talk about it all before we start doing top 10 lists and everything else that I have to do for the rest of the year. So I'm glad I got to at least talk about it before that happened. But anyway, thank you all for coming to my show. I will see you guys on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll see you then.